Thank you so much, Tim. And fellow One World Toastmaster friends, and guess what? We are honored to have the past Toastmaster International President, Jim Kokocki, sitting in the audience. Woohoo! He's a very special friend of us. Exactly 1 year ago, September the 13th, 2020, he was here. He was the installation officer on our charter party. Do you still remember, fellow friends? Welcome back, Jim. Let me give him a proper introduction here. He has a lot of things on his bio. Jim Kokocki, DTM, is a business consultant residing in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. As a volunteer, he serves as the president and board chair of La Hache St. John, which is part of a worldwide organization which creates home, work, and day programs together with people who have intellectual disabilities. As a speaker, he delivers presentations for groups on public speaking, leadership, managing conflict, business modeling, and sales and marketing. As Toastmaster since 1987, Jim's home club is St. John Toastmaster in St. John. He served as international president for Toastmaster International in the year 2015 to 2016. He continues in Toastmaster for many reasons, including his enjoyment of continued learning and development, and the opportunity to see others develop, and his strong belief that communication and leadership skills require learning, but more importantly, practice and more practice. Let's put our hands together to welcome Jim Kokocki. Serve your word, soothe your soul. Serve your word, soothe your soul, Jim Kokocki.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back with you almost a year to the date when I visited you last. I'm here in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia in Canada, the east coast of Canada, beautiful island where I grew up visiting some family. And it's my pleasure to be connected with you today. Well, Annie asked me to come speak to you about the path to becoming international president and my experience, and I'm happy to do that. But I also want to talk about a broader message, and whether it's serving as international president, becoming an accredited speaker, figuring out how you want to spend your life, your career, the next 6 months or 6 years. For me, this is all about serving your world and soothe your soul. So I'm delighted to see First Vice President Morag as a member of the club, I recall, and to have Morag in the room. And, you know, if you're going to pursue becoming international president, you've got a massive belief in the power of Toastmasters to change the world. And you're willing to expend considerable time and energy in becoming elected and then serving Toastmasters. And once you're off the board of directors, continuing to serve. So my theme is around, serving your world, soothe your soul. When you're serving your world and doing what feels instinctively right, you're going to feel fantastic. Everything is in alignment. So do align your actions with your purpose. And some people have got their purpose figured out, or they've got their actions aligned. But listen to what you're saying to yourself. If you're confused by that, if you're not sure what path to pursue, sometimes your purpose will be absolutely clear, but sometimes your actions will drive your purpose. So listen to yourself when you're saying things like, somebody should be doing something about homelessness or hunger in my community, or poverty, or somebody should be doing something about cleaning up the litter in my community. Could be big, could be small, but you've got a voice inside your head that we tend to tune out, but that voice in your head is driving you towards the actions that will satisfy your purpose or your ultimate purpose. And that might be a short-term purpose and short-term actions, or maybe long-term. But listen and pay attention, and I'll give you some advice towards the end here about how you can make some progress on that. So listen, make some notes, keep a diary, put them in your phone, but please pay attention to those little voices that are talking to you when you hear somebody should do something about. You can take some small actions today or tomorrow. So as mentioned, I did serve as international president 2015, 2016. As international president, there's 3 key roles. One is to chair the board of directors, and these are photos from Washington, D.C., where I chaired the annual business meeting in August of 2016. So that's one role, to manage the business of Toastmasters. We need to make sure we have enough revenue and manage expenses well enough to operate this organization that serves over 300,000 members in 149 countries. We need to manage the business part of Toastmasters. But the more exciting part, I will say, is connecting with members. So the second role is to serve as an ambassador to connect with members around the world, to make sure that Toastmasters is doing a great job for members in Sri Lanka, in Saudi Arabia, in Thailand, Canada, the US, Mexico, all over the world, to make sure that our clubs are developing a stellar learning and development environment. So chair the board of directors, connect with members around the world, and also connect with companies who bring in Toastmasters as part of their learning and development program for their employees. So lots of huge corporations around the world have got Toastmasters as one component of their learning and development, so people can be empowered, become more effective communicators and leaders. So a huge part of serving as international president is to personally connect with some of those organizations, and more importantly, to strategically plan how do we continue to get better and better at that. And we've got lots of opportunity to become stronger at connecting with the businesses who see value in our program, bring us in, and we need to make sure we're nurturing their employees and our members, whether in community clubs, specialty clubs, online clubs, or corporate clubs. I grabbed a few photos, always grab a few photos of connecting with members around the world. Actually, Deepak Menon, a past international president, hosted me when I visited India. Some photos here from India, some photos from China, from Taiwan. Some what's Annie laughing at? But my status in Taiwan or in China, obviously I'm a big deal when I go to China. Annie, you can see I've got lovely ladies accompany me when I'm attired for China. So great fun connecting with members all around the world. So as international president, just a quick review of the organizational structure. You are the most important person at Toastmasters. You are a member. You've paid a fee to a club, and that club is in existence to empower you to become a more effective communicator and leader. You're the most important member. The most important organization within our structure is the club. We want all our clubs to be distinguished, to be serving members well. But briefly, I'll explain. Clubs are organized into areas. Areas support our clubs. Areas are organized into divisions. Divisions support areas. Divisions are organized into districts. We've got 120 districts around the world, I believe it is now, maybe a little bit more. Districts are exist to build new clubs and ensure every club achieves excellence. So districts exist to support divisions, areas, clubs, and ultimately you, the member. Districts are organized into regions. Regions exist primarily to help us find talent for the board of directors. And finally, at the bottom level, you're at the top, international president's at the bottom. At the bottom level, the overall structure is Toastmasters International. So it's a very brief introduction to the structure of Toastmasters, and we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end if you've got questions about that. And your current team, your 2021 executive committee for Toastmasters, there are 14 directors and 5 members of the executive committee, 19 people in total. Your international president, I'm sure you are all aware, is Margaret Page, Distinguished Toastmaster from British Columbia, Canada. Your president-elect, Mr. Matt Kinsey from Southern Florida. Morag Matheson with us here today from Berlin, Germany, first vice president. Roddy Spear, the newly elected second vice president from the New York City metropolitan area, and Richard Peck, our immediate past president from Connecticut, USA. Now you've become Toastmasters. I'm talking a bit about becoming international president in that path. You were empowered now to be a more effective communicator and leader, and your journey hasn't stopped. We are all on a journey to become ever more effective as communicators and leaders. So you're empowered. What will you do? What do you want to do? What's your future hold for you? What path should you pursue? Well, I encourage people, as we heard today, I was delighted to catch some of Shamila's speech about desiring to become a accredited speaker. There's one of a piece of advice I like to offer folks is, look, tell people what you're working on, what you're thinking about, what you're dreaming about. When that voice in your head says someone should do something about litter in my community, talk to people about, look, what can we do to address some of that issue? Because people get inspired by your energy, by your ideas. You are empowered as a leader. So don't tell everybody in the coffee shop what you're working on, but you might want to tell some of them. Don't tell all your coworkers what your true passion is, but you might want to tell some of them. Don't tell all your family members and consume the airwaves with your passion, but tell some of them. Some of them may be inspired. Leaders inspire others to take action. So I invite you to take action, but I inspire you to, I ask you to inspire other people to take even further action. It can be absolutely amazing. I'm sure most of you have experienced this when you've shared an idea and other people have gotten behind and said, I want to be part of that. I can help. And often that's through energy. Sometimes it's through money, but people will be inspired by your enthusiasm. So how do you speak to people? Well, you can chat with people in the coffee shop, but you are part of an amazing organization called Toastmasters International that gives you the incredible opportunity to tell people what your passion is, what your idea is, what you might want to pursue, what you're thinking about pursuing, and to get feedback. So you know what this program is, it's pathways. Level 1's all about mastering fundamentals. So if your passion is about doing something about poverty in your community, give a speech, give the icebreaker, do a little research, get some numbers about poverty in your community, do that speech, get some feedback, do the speech again. Maybe you'll get to do that in a group outside of Toastmasters. That's great as well. But our program exists to help you hone your message, to sharpen your message. And I'm going to assume as well, people in the room, you've gotten feedback from in speeches where people have said, I didn't quite get that. This would be sharper if. My gosh, what a gift to be able to sharpen your message. And I don't know about you, but I've certainly got feedback that says, I missed that entirely. I didn't understand the point of your speech. That was quite early in my Toastmasters career, but that's a gift as well, isn't it? How can we sharpen our message? So as you pursue your passion, and I will use that example about reducing poverty, addressing some poverty, you learn your style, you keep on practicing those projects, revisit the material. And I know you wouldn't give the same speech every time, but the best speakers in the world have got some core messages. You have some core messages. Practice your core messages. They may serve you for 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years, those core messages. We all have a base of knowledge, a base of passion, which we want to express. For me, it's things like communication, it's leadership, it's helping people with intellectual disabilities through the organization where I serve as president board chair, L'Arche. Those are my passions. I love to talk about those things and energize people to support whatever way possible. The third level of pathways, as you know, is increasing your knowledge, increasing your skill level. So keep on going, keep on working from your base of knowledge to exercise the skills and sharpen the skills. I've personally found at times giving a speech on my base of knowledge, but being forced through a project to incorporate something like a prop gave me a brilliant idea that I can continue to use. So these projects will sharpen your thinking about how you can land your messages. Level 4, keep on building your skills. Level 5, demonstrate your expertise. My point here is, like, if you've got a passion, if there's something you are pursuing, thinking about pursuing, just have the germ of the idea of pursuing and solving, please do a speech at your club. Please do a Pathways project. The skills you will be forced to execute in Pathways will serve you very, very well. One of my favorite stories, I've got about 4 stories of people who told me they've been transformed by pathways. I know many, many more have, but these 4 people volunteered to me. So one was a nurse I met in Taiwan, and she said to me, Jim, I love Toastmasters. She said, I've been a head nurse for 20 years, and people have always thought I'm bossy and pushy. And she said, I did the Pathways project and understanding my communication style. She said, I've made some very small changes. People are responding to me differently. So I find that extremely powerful. She doesn't entirely understand what she's changed, but by doing the project, she's changed some behavior that has changed how people react to her. So please do the projects. So there's a space between your dreams and reality. Sometimes we don't listen to our dreams, but listen, make note, think about small steps you can have. Tell people what your dream is. You don't need to have it figured out. Most people do not have it entirely figured out. So if your dream is to become international president, district director, club president, accredited speaker, world champion of public speaking, if you want to take some small actions to address poverty in your community, hunger in your community, litter in your community, whatever the idea is, start talking to people. Start talking to your club. You're part of a structured program. You have access to a wonderful structured program that will help you refine and sharpen your message, and you can make an incredible difference in your world. With that, I thank you, Annie. I'm going to stop, and I know you've allocated some time for questions and answers. I think I'm obligated for the answers, but not the questions. So,
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. And first of all, and appreciate your time being here and sharing all those wonderful messages. So, fellow members and guests, this is a special time to ask questions. Anyone? Please raise your hand or just unmute. Okay,
looks like
Paul.
Fabi. Okay, Paul.
All right. Thank you so much. This is very inspiring, especially if you're thinking about going that route. My question is, going for the second vice president and getting to the international president position. Why not 1, 2, 3, and why the structure that we have now? Second vice president, first president, and elected to one.
Yeah, what was the first part of the question? Can you repeat the first part, Fabi?
At this moment, getting to second vice president, you have actually three steps to get to the international president. Why not 1, 2, 3?
It's a very interesting question, and I want to note that Paul wanted to get in there too. So let me answer Fabi's question. Well, I suppose, first of all, that's the structure that the board of directors has put in place. And I think there's some wisdom in it, because when you're immediately elected, you're not ready to be international president. You've still got learning to do. Everyone in this call has got learning to do. But serving as international president is a very serious obligation. So you need to learn things that aren't obvious to the members, but how is the budget prepared? What are the prior priorities that have been set for the organization? Truly, how are we doing all around the world? How are our clubs performing in the various markets that we serve? Markets is a business term, but it fits for what we do for the 149 countries. So there's a lot of learning to take place. So from time to time, we do chat amongst past senior leaders to say, maybe 5 is too many, maybe 4 is enough. It's not our decision. That's a decision of the board of directors. But I will simply say that you need to do some learning before you're ready to serve as international president. Thank you, Fabi. I'm going to invite Paul in too, because I know Paul had his hand up physically.
Yes, thank you very much, Jim. I think we all know that you don't become international president without many years of service, proven service throughout the organization and building a reputation for service. I was particularly struck by your ability to say something terribly meaningful in a way that every person in the room would have no difficulty understanding. In other words, your ability to communicate in a, well, I'll call it with great respect, a simple manner, in a style that's simple. What I'm wondering is, to what extent do you think your ability to communicate with groups has contributed alongside your ability and willingness to serve? I have met many people who have been great in the service of others, but that doesn't mean that they are a great, we'll say, public speaker. So I'm interested to know a little bit about your own judgment about the mixture of communication between those two, the mixture between service and communication skills, please.
Fascinating. Boy, you guys ask great questions, tough table topics. I think it's really important. And some people who aren't great public speakers are great private speakers. They're great one-on-one. And I bet as I say that, you're thinking of people who you're thinking, hey, I wouldn't want to see them do a speech, or I've seen them do a speech and I don't want to see that again. But one-on-one, they're exceptionally powerful. They connect and you feel the energy and the passion. So I think communication is absolutely key. And additionally, you make me think that part of communication is our actions. So some people are simply inspired by what they do. Some people are inspired by people just observing and seeing the activity. So absolutely, communication skills are critical. And I think it relates as well. You know, you've gone to some club meetings, perhaps when we're face to face, and I've been to some club meetings where a guest comes in and doesn't get acknowledged, and that kills me. That's drives me crazy. But I've also been to a lot of meetings, most meetings, where guests are just honored and respected and courted. So that is by actions, people are communicating their value to us. So to your question, I think communication skills are absolutely critical. Of course, that's critical to this organization. Some are public, some are private, and some are simply by actions, in my view. Thanks, Paul.
I think we have Dara. Dara?
Hi there. Thanks so much for your presentation. The question I want to ask has to do with helping people to find their passions. Now, at the beginning, you started with this, so I'm going to ask you, as someone who's straddled both the business side of Toastmasters and the interacting with people around the world in such deep spaces, how do you see pathways moving to have people or members bend reality to their wishes, creating along the lines that they want their world to show up as? Please.
Sure. Thank you, Dara. So I think at least in two ways. My opinion is sometimes we need to speak to truly understand that passion. We need to articulate that, because that forces us to think more deeply and explain it. There's effort required to explain something to people. So pathways, I think, absolutely helps us clarify our mission, our purpose, the actions we want to take in this world. But additionally, it just energizes other people. Right? We just had a big fundraising event for my large group on Tuesday night, 440 people. In this time of COVID, socially distanced, lots of masks being worn, but it was exceptional for us to share various messages about what we do and to see people get energized. So that wasn't a Pathways project, but everything I've done in Toastmasters, every Pathways project, every evaluation I've received has helped shape me. So it helped me land a message on Tuesday night with 440 prominent people from the business community to help support our organization. Not all of them will, but many will. So Pathways, Toastmasters, practicing those speeches is really important for your development. And I think I've seen too many members, and maybe you've experienced this as well, but people say, what should I talk about? What can I talk about? And sometimes they go off and do some obscure research, but please talk about your passion, talk about your ideas, whether they're fully formulated or not fully formulated, share them, get some perspective. And it's just so rewarding if someone says, I love what your idea is. I'd like to help. How can I help? Thank you, Dara.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question from Madaf.
Yes. Hi. Hi,
Oh.
Jim. It's a real pleasure to be able to interact with you. I would like to also react to one of your opening lines where you mentioned that to serve in a leadership role in Toastmasters and to reach like the higher levels of the hierarchy is to have a strong belief in what the organization achieves in its mission. And that's something which speaks a lot to me because I myself have jumped from the club level leadership as a past president of a club directly to division director, so that like a district leadership role, because my country, Mauritius, has recently, as of the 1st of July, been districted to D74. So I'm finding myself in my thought process right now is, okay, it's one thing to serve as district director and to fulfill whatever role whatever mission I have to serve, and then to reach out to the international, to aim for, to be inspired by being international president. So my question is, in that journey, you come from the simple level of having members do speeches, paying their dues, and so on, and then there's some sort of complex navigation you have to do, and then reach for whatever progress you want to make in the leadership role. So my question is, how do you process all that along the way, and what keeps you going? There you go. Over to you.
Sure. Yeah, that's another terrific question. Thank you. So for me, the exercise I always go through is, does the organization need me? Can I make a contribution? And will I benefit? There's some selfishness. Selfishness is not a bad thing. In Toastmasters, you do not benefit financially, but you benefit. None of the positions are paid. I want to be absolutely clear on that. You benefit by the learning and networking and the connections you've got with people. So I guess the simplest way I can answer that is, for me, I'm always making that assessment. Does the organization need some of what I've got and can offer? And will I benefit in some way? Will I grow and develop? And I'll use my example from the work I do with LARSH, the folks with intellectual disabilities. Some years ago, a former Toastmaster who was chair of the board said, "We need some help in marketing and public relations. Will you join?" I said, "This wouldn't be fun." I said to myself, "This wouldn't be fun, but it's the right thing to do. So yes, I'll assist." And I'll tell you, it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, as well as being international president. So that was the process then and the process now. And I will tell you, I'm starting now to plan to leave that board entirely, because I've got the organization in a great place. So the organization doesn't need me, and I think needs me to step away so they can take the next step, whatever that is. So simple answer, I always use that assessment. Does the organization need me? Will I benefit? And I'll further mention that, to be elected international president or second vice president is a big deal. Not everybody's going to make it, obviously. So learn from the process, learn from the elections, learn from the interactions you have with people. And what I'm impressed with is even those who don't get elected continue to serve Toastmasters and serve the world.
Well said. Thank you so much, Jim. I have to say, he's an international president, but he's so humble and down to the earth. And he replied to my message and accept my invitation to come back to this club. I representing all the members here, really appreciate your time and your generosity here. And really hope that you consider our club as a friend of you, and you could come back sometime in the future time and be our mentor, be our special guest and member here. And we really love to hear from you. I do know that you're international president, but today I learned that you once a Chinese emperor as well. No.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jim. Everyone give Jim a big round of applause.